Hello, friends and digital neighbors. My name's Mark. This is Bumbling Through Dungeons. Today's topic is the 80-20 principle. So, the 80-20 principle, some of you have probably heard it. I don't know if you've heard about it in a D&D sense. It is something that I'm a big fan of, but if you haven't heard about it, we're going to talk about it today and then apply it to our prep as DMs and our gaming, and it's going to be great. It's going to change your life. That's not true. So 80-20 or the 80-20 principle is sometimes called the Pareto, Pareto, I don't know how to pronounce it, the Pareto Principle. And what it states is that 80% of your effects come from 20% of the causes. All right, so what the hell does that mean? So what that means is that it's been applied to a number of different areas, is that the majority, a lot of times in any endeavor, and it's been applied to freelance work, it's been applied in a business sense. So if you've got a business and you've got customers or you're doing certain things to maximize the revenue of your business, chances are the majority of the benefits that you get are going to come from a certain subset of the work that you're doing. And then there's going to be this other stuff that you're doing, and it might be the stuff that you think is necessary, or it might be holdovers from how you used to do it or what you think works. But the general principle is that a lot of times people are wasting a lot of their time and effort doing 100% of the work that they're doing, when in fact it's 20% of the work that is producing 80% of the benefit. Now, the numbers 80 and 20 are placeholders. Let's get that out of the way first off. There's no scientific way to say, oh, in business, 20% of your effort is producing 80% of your... No. That's not what it's saying. 80 and 20 are placeholders. So this might be 60-40, 70-30, 90-10, 95-5, whatever it is. The idea is that there are so many times in life where we're wasting our energy, and there is something good that we're doing in that totality, but it's a comparatively small portion of what we're doing. And so most times then, once you get to that part of the Pareto Principle, or the 80-20 principle, you will hear people start to talk about, okay, find ways to cut the 80% that isn't helping, so that you're left with the 20% that is doing the most work, that is doing the lion's share of the work for you in terms of overall benefit, of actual real world benefit. And then either find other stuff to add to that 20%, or take what you're doing in that 20% and expand it to 30, 40, 80, 90%, so that what you're doing is more effective. And there are a lot of different ways that you can apply this idea, and I've actually found it very useful in my personal life, in my professional life, and certainly in my creative life. And today we're going to apply it to D&D. So I think a lot of us, the first time we ever ran a campaign, if you're a DM, and if you're not, I hope you don't have the same problem I did, but a lot of new DMs will. And that's, you over-prepare. You prepare so much stuff, and you think you're going to need to have all this stuff rolling around in your head and all these handouts prepped and all this information at the ready, and it turns out you don't need much of it. You can actually get by with a much smaller percentage of that overall work. And I think you can already see where this is going. So one of the ways that I've found that has helped me be a better DM, to prepare more efficiently without sacrificing the quality of my prep and the quality of the games that I run, is by 80-20ing my work. By running some games, prepping what I think I'm going to need to prep, and then after a certain period of time, and maybe that's 2 or 3 sessions, maybe that's 20 or 30, it's going to change for you, but basically being very critical of your prep and saying, all right, what did I actually use from that prep? And did I need the rest of it? A lot of times the answer is no. And the stuff that I unequivocally didn't need, I toss. And maybe there's a little bit where I'm not sure, where I say, okay, you know what, I still think I might need some of this stuff, but I didn't use it in this 10 session chunk. So I'm going to keep preparing it, I'm going to keep it handy, and we're going to reassess. So it doesn't need to be tossing 80% out all at once. You can take this principle and massage it a little bit to work for you. So I'd say at any point when I did my sort of self-examination of my DMing, I wasn't throwing out 80%. I was throwing out maybe 20 to 40%. Maybe the first time it was 80% because I prepped a lot of stuff that I didn't need for that first campaign. But I learned my lesson because I did this. And I think it can help a lot of DMs because, time is precious. I don't have as much time as I used to. I don't have as much time as I'd like. Who has as much time as they'd like? And DMing can take time and prepping can take time. And so making the most out of that time is very important. And I think this is one of the great ways you can do that. So I'm not the only person to attempt this. I'm not the only person to try to pare down DMing to its basest components. There are, most other YouTube channels that have done enough videos have talked about low prep. There's even, Sly Flourish, and I forget I had it on the tip of my tongue just now, but I'm not going to remember. But he runs a popular blog and website, and he's on Twitter, and he has a number of supplements that he's come out with that are very popular, and I think the most popular of which is called the Lazy DM, and he's got a whole methodology for prepping things quickly in a way that's going to be very useful for you. And I went and read that, and it's a good book. It's a great book, and there are a lot of cool ideas in it to pare down your prep, and his methods don't work great for me, but they're going to work really great for a lot of DMs. And I think the principle, the idea of getting your prep down to only what you need and not much more is a good goal for any DM to have, regardless of the method that you get there by. So the Lazy DM is an excellent one there. I'll link to it down in the description so you can check it out. I would definitely recommend it because I think it is one good way to take some of the abstract principles that I'm talking about and then apply it in a very practical sense. So what I'm trying to do, and I do continually do this, I still do this, and the first time I was eliminating maybe 50 to 80% of what I had prepped, and I said, okay, I'm just going to keep this 20%. But then you see, oh, okay, I also need this thing, and I need this thing, and I need this thing, and you start to prep more and more, and eventually you get to the point where you're prepping a lot of things again. And that's the point at which you can say, all right, let me reassess, see what I'm still using, see what maybe I only used that one time, but isn't going to be useful for me to have prepared at all times, and you eliminate more. And the first time you might be eliminating a lot of stuff. The second time you might be eliminating a lot of stuff. Eventually you're probably not eliminating too much, but the idea is to keep it manageable. So the first time I DM'd, I probably had 30 to 40 pages of notes in a little binder, and my books were out, and that's in addition to my dice and the DM screen, and I had too much stuff to flip through and leaf through and look at, and it slowed things down. And now when I run for an individual session, I've found that it's helped me to put everything on. I have like a tablet, and so I just have a PDF on my tablet. I usually don't even have any books open at this point. Occasionally I will. I'll at least have them sort of off to the side. But a lot of sessions I'll have 1 or 2 pages of notes. And that's it. So it's oftentimes just bullet points here and there. There's probably a couple pages after that where I have like monster stats, creature stats for potential encounters. But in terms of actual prepared material of things for me to remember or say or prompt the players with, it might just be a single page. And the only way that I got there was by looking at what I was using, what I needed, what I didn't need, and how I could streamline the stuff that I did need. So it's not just do I need this or not. It's also, do I need this in the format that I'm writing it in? So that might mean writing a single bullet point with a couple details for a room or a dungeon or an NPC, rather than writing 2 or 3 paragraphs on that same NPC or room description that you read aloud. So maybe eventually you find out all you need is 2 or 3 adjectives or descriptors, and you can bring the rest to life on your own. So some may still need that full paragraph written out so that they have it to read and reference, but not everyone will. So, you're asking yourself those questions and you're 80/20ing everything eventually to figure out what's not important, what is important, and you're also thinking about what's important in this format and what can I take into a more truncated format. So one of the reasons I think we over prepare is that we hold ourselves to standards that aren't necessarily realistic, because there are people that frankly do this for a living and they've got way more prep time than any of us mere mortals. And you might see them on a popular stream or a popular podcast, and it's a revenue stream for them. And holy heck, if I was making a living off of DMing, I would probably spend more time preparing it as well. But I've got a social life and I've got a professional life and I've got other things going on and creative endeavors. And well, I'm recording this during COVID lockdown, so I don't really have a social life right now, but that's for the best, and that will change eventually once we get to the other side of the virus. Fingers crossed, hopefully soon. But the point is, a lot of us don't have that much time. A lot of people are intimidated by running a game in the first place because of the time commitment. So it's going to be a lot easier on you. It's going to be a lot easier on the long-term health and safety of your group. Its ability to continue functioning and running sessions and campaigns if you can figure out how to remove the detritus from your preparation. And I think this principle of 80/20 is a great way to do it. So I don't do it all the time. I do it less now than I did when I was starting out. But in that first year or two of DMing regularly, it really helped me. It got it down from 40 to 50 pages of notes to 20 to 30 to 15 to 20 to 5 to 10. And then, now if I have 5 pages, even with creature stats, that's about the most it gets to. And if you're talking about just text, maybe a page or two. And it gives me everything I need to run the session without any of the ancillary stuff that's just going to slow things down. So that might not be where you get to. You might still need more things prepped than that. And the types of things that you need to prep and that you're using in your game will certainly be different than the stuff that I'm using in my game. So that's the point of this, is not that here's A, B, C, D, what you should prep for a session, because I don't know what you should prep for a session. Your DMing style isn't going to be mine. It isn't going to be the same as the other person over there. And that's as it should be. That's awesome. You shouldn't be trying to emulate other DMs, but the principle, the abstract principle of, hey, remove the excess, keep what's working, is something that seems obvious when I state it like that, but I think a lot of people forget to put it into practice. So if you do that, you're going to be fine, and you are going to streamline both your preparation, and it's going to streamline how you run games at the table as well. So that's it. I hope you have a lot of success with 80/20. If you are able to test it out, or you like this or other principles of minimizing or streamlining your DM prep, I'd love to hear about them. You can catch me down in the comments here or on Twitter, at BT Dungeons. You can find me on my website. So I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, take care.